Everybody, welcome back. This video we are looking at the NBA slate for Tuesday. Once again, another 2-game slate today. Let's get into it. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm also going to be having a new video out today for some fantasy football. We're looking at one tight end that I like that's on the verge of a breakout season. That video will be out right after I post this one, so you can check that out if you wanted to. But looking at this NBA slate today, starting off at point guard, we got Trae Young at $9,200. He's coming in off of a huge game, 35-10, couple of boards, 2 steals, 58 fantasy points, back-to-back 58 points for him. Led the Hawks to a huge win. The 76ers couldn't stop turning the ball over. They had like 10 in the first quarter or 9 in the first quarter, finished with like 19 or something in the game. Young was able to capitalize, getting some open looks in transition. I am going to get to him again, especially looking at the point guard plays. There's not anybody that looks crazy good. Like Mitchell looks solid, but the Clippers still have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard to maybe make life difficult for Donovan Mitchell. I still expect Mitchell to put up north of like 45, maybe 50, especially if there's no Mike Conley. So Trae Young and Mitchell are my two favorites. Simmons comes in as like my probably the third option. He was 7 of 7 from the floor, but the biggest thing was 3 of 10 from the free throw line, which once again he has not been able to hit his free throws this postseason. It is costing the 76ers in the end of games where teams are just fouling Simmons. He's not able to hit his free throws, and then teams go back and score the other way. So hopefully Simmons can hit his free throws today, because he was at least a lot better in the regular season. I don't know what happened in the postseason. On the regular season, he shot 58%, which isn't good, but he's shooting 30. Well, he shot 36% in the 3 games against the Hawks for some reason, and in the playoffs, it has not been very good for him. He's shooting 40% from the free throw line, 13 of 32. If there is no Mike Conley, definitely Donovan Mitchell takes a big bump, and Clarkson would take a nice bump. And then I'm looking at maybe Reggie Jackson as a value play. At shooting guard, Paul George at 9,000 looks solid, but I probably like Donovan Mitchell. Want to get to both Mitchell and Trae Young today. Both guys are just the alpha dogs on their teams. Mitchell is going to shoot a bunch. Trae Young's going to shoot a bunch. Paul George still has Kawhi Leonard that can take some away. And this matchup is difficult going into Utah. So I would probably still lean to Kawhi Leonard just in terms of raw points, in terms of over Paul George. So George would be my second guy that I would like besides Donovan Mitchell. And then for value, it is going to be Joe Ingles if there is no Mike Conley today. And then I love Kevin Huerter as a value play, especially if there is no DeAndre Hunter again. He's only $4,300. He's going to see solid minutes, going to see high 20s if there's no DeAndre Hunter again. Just a little bit too cheap for him. Over at small forward, Tobias is 83. I mean, he looks okay. I'd rather go Kawhi Leonard, probably go to like Bogdanovich if there is no Mike Conley. And then you have Morris at only 48. He had a huge game, 7 of 9 from 3, nailing his shots. They're gonna have to play Zubac some more this series just because Gobert is gonna eat them alive if they decide to go small. They could do that, but I don't think Ibaka's ready to play. Yeah, he's not gonna play. If they start Zubac today, he's got to be super cheap. He's $3,500. I would assume that he would get some run today. Just because they're going to need somebody to match up with Rudy Gobert. If he's in the starting lineup, it's probably a really solid value play. So keep an eye on the Clippers. If they decide to start Zubac, he would look great. Other guys that we saw, Nick Batum have a big series against the Mavs. Had some nice solid games. Had some good defensive plays. He's only $4,600. He makes some sense as a cheap guy to plug into your lineups. Also, I like Morris, $4,800. And then you have Kevin Huerter as a solid option for cheap. Power forward, it's going to be, once again, looking to be a bit affordable. Maybe you can go Gallo. He struggled a bit. Just played 18 minutes. Was okay out there, 2 of 4, but thought he would play some more without DeAndre Hunter. Didn't really happen. John Collins also stayed out of foul trouble against the Sixers, and he was playing a lot better, so they kind of stuck with Collins. But seems like if Collins gets into foul trouble, Gallo is basically the backup to him, and you would see some more run. Collins, on the other hand, is only $5,600. He gives you a lot of upside, just because he can hit some threes, get some rebounds, get some blocks. I like getting to him at $5,600, and then you can maybe look to Solomon Hill if he starts again, just as a value play. At center, Capella 78, and then we have Joel Embiid as 10K, and Gobert is only 79. If the Clippers decide to go small here, you would expect Gobert to be able to eat up like a ton of rebounds, get a lot of putbacks if they decide to start Marcus Morris again at the 5. Gobert should have a big game, and I would like to get to him at $7,900. And then the last guy would have right now is maybe Kevin Huerter as a value play, but we can also look to another Clipper, and that's maybe Morris, 48. Just maybe he's starting to get hot from the floor. Still like his price tag, pretty affordable. If there's no Hunter, then I like maybe going to Kevin Huerter as a value, but right now I don't mind going to both Batum and Morris just because they both should still see well over 30 minutes. They're both cheap if you don't want to, if you can't get up to like Leonard or George, might as well go with a couple of cheap guys and hope that they have some good games instead. So that's it for DraftKings. Like these 6 quite a bit. Let's talk about FanDuel. On this FanDuel slate, point guard plays, you have Trae Young as 10-2, so he's taking a big jump in price. But there's only a couple of point guards that are playable. You have Young, Simmons, and then you have Reggie Jackson at 48. Clarkson, depending on Conley, would look solid. Then there's really nobody else. Maybe they play Beverly some this playoffs. Rondo, he's good out there for his veteran leadership, but he wasn't doing great in the end of those last couple of games for the Clippers. And they were playing Beverly in the beginning, but Beverly couldn't stop Luka Doncic just because he's like 10 inches shorter than him, probably like 7 inches shorter than him. Wouldn't be shocked if Beverly jumps back into the rotation over Rondo today. But I think you got to go Reggie Jackson just as a value play that can still put up 30, 35 fantasy points, and he's only $4,800, so makes a lot of sense as a cheap option. At shooting guard, we have Paul George, Donovan Mitchell as 2 guys that you probably want to get to at least one of them. Both guys are pretty expensive. I like Donovan Mitchell just at home. Just going to be the alpha. He should see some extra minutes after playing some less minutes in that games against the Grizzlies after he missed a lot of time, but hopefully he has the conditioning and everything back after he got some extra days off for rest. And then you have to go with like Joe Ingles if there is no Conley at only $4,300. And then Terrence Mann also looked great if you needed to go to him. Maybe on DraftKings too, but FanDuel looks good as well. Small forward, Kawhi Leonard is $11,000, so very expensive, but there's really nobody else that can even match him in terms of upside at small forward. You have Batum as your second highest option, and when that's the case, usually you're looking at only a couple of guys that are playable. It's basically Leonard, Batum, Gallo, and probably Bogdanovic as the 4 that I'm looking at here. So if we're looking at center, you have Embiid at 10-5. We'll probably want to get to Embiid. Definitely probably want to get to Embiid instead of Gobert, who's already up to 88. So if I get to Embiid at center, power forward, you have John Collins at 65, and you have Morris at 53. Those are like the 2 that I like. I don't think I'll get to 9K Tobias with Embiid in there. So those are the only 2 that look appealing to me. Probably side with Collins, 65. And then small forward, he still leads you with about 58, so we might not be able to get all the way up to Kawhi Leonard, but Bogdanovic at 54 makes some sense, especially if there is no Mike Conley today. He's a guy that will shoot. If he gets hot shooting, you're looking at like 35, maybe high 30s, low 40s in fantasy points. If he struggles, you're looking at high teens or low 20s, so that could suck, but position isn't very deep besides Kawhi Leonard. Probably going to have to pick between one of Batum, Bogdanovic, Danny Green. I think Bogdanovic at least gives you some scoring upside that the others don't really give you. So that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck today. I'll catch you all next time.